A lawsuit has been filed against police officials in Alabama who allegedly tased a girl as she was suffering a grand mal seizure. Now, this happened at a hip-hop concert, and the suit alleges that the teenager, as the result of an accident, suffers from a medical condition that brings on the seizures, causing her to lose consciousness, experience muscle contractions, and sometimes exhibit loud vocalizations caused by the forceful exhalation of air from her lungs. Now, grand mal seizures are actually caused by abnormal electrical activity in the brain. This is not the girl in question, but this is an example of someone suffering from the seizure. So according to the lawsuit, the girl is suffering a seizure like this at the concert. The suit alleges that one of the performers had jumped off stage and went into the crowd. The crowd went nuts and kind of trampled over the girl, and that's what triggered the seizure. At that point, authorities allegedly grabbed her and took her to the lobby. She claims that they just kind of threw her in the lobby. Her mom was notified. Her mom shows up wearing pajamas and is trying to help her daughter. At that point, the girl gets tased, not once, not twice, but 3 times. And then the mother gets tased. And apparently at that point, the daughter was taken to a medical center and she was treated for her condition. But if the suit is factual and what they're claiming actually happened, this is crazy. I mean, it shows you that police have absolutely no idea what to do when someone is suffering an episode like that.
So the mom, other than being tased, was knocked to the ground, handcuffed, arrested. Now, who sees a person like that and thinks, oh, let's tase her in the chest 3 times, the person having the seizure? Look, there's a couple possibilities here. One is some people are assuming she's African American. We don't know that, okay? The people involved in the story. They were at a hip-hop concert. I don't think that tells you much. It's in Alabama. I don't think that tells you much. But if they're African American, it's wildly discouraging. I mean, what won't you assume is trouble coming from an African American? Like, they called you over to help her because she's having a seizure, and you assume, well, guilty. Let me go ahead and tase her, right? Now, all right, let's assume for a second she's not African American, she's white. Okay, does that make the story better? No. So it goes to the same principle, which is cops these days, I got to protect myself. Well, you called me in for a medical procedure, I don't care. I'm in danger from that person having a seizure. It doesn't matter. White, black, it doesn't matter. You have no power, I have all the power. Just taser, who cares?
Well, the thing that is troubling about this story is not just what happened. I mean, there's a lack of information at the moment, right? I think more information is going to come out as the story develops. But it shows you exactly what the issue is when it comes to police training, right? Yes, there is an overuse of brutality and excessive force, but also there's an issue with them not knowing what to do when they're dealing with someone who has either a mental disability or a physical disability. And in this case, I don't know exactly what happened with the police officials. I don't know if they were confused about what was happening and they responded in the most violent way possible, but they need to be trained in order to know what to do if someone is suffering that type of seizure. It doesn't seem like they had any idea.
What an unbelievably weird assumption that when you see somebody having a seizure that you're threatened, that you have to take some sort of action against her. Like, didn't you listen? When they said, hey, she got trampled. We had to bring her out here. She didn't cause the trouble. I don't know, there's trouble. I can't get her under control. She's not following orders. You think that's not what happened? That's exactly what happened. Okay. Now, I interviewed Michael Wood here on the Young Turks. It's on TYT Interviews. You should check it out. One of the best interviews we've ever done. Not because of me, because of the information he had. I asked him, look, number one crime in America is disrespecting a police officer. He was a former Baltimore police officer himself, and he's talking about the things that they actually do, right? And he said, yeah. He's like, look, it's called being brought in on a humble. We're going to humble you.
Wow. They even have a phrase for it.
Yeah, and he said, look, you folks don't know it, but you go to any inner city in America, every African American knows it.
Yeah.
Like that if you disrespect the police officers in any way, shape, or form, you talk back to them, you don't do exactly what you're told to do, you get arrested for that. Yeah. There's no such crime. There's no law, okay? But you get brought in on a humble. Okay.
That's crazy.
So, well, now if you're having a seizure, well, you weren't being very humble. You weren't listening to the officer. So what's the answer? The answer is always violence. So I got to tase you. And then your mom comes in and she's freaking out. If you're a mom and your daughter's having a seizure and the cops are tasing her, what would be your reaction? You'd flip out, right? Boom, you get tasered, handcuffed, arrested. When are we going to train them better, man? When are we going to train them that we're not the fucking enemy? And that's another thing Michael Wood said. He said, yeah, we view everybody in the community as the enemy. We're the occupying force. By the way, in his case, he's like, well, not exactly. He got put into a white community that was more upper class in Baltimore. And they told him, you got to keep making arrests. So he's like, I can't arrest anybody here. I'll get in trouble. So then he would go into the black communities he wasn't even patrolling to make arrests.
That's insane. Wow. I mean, he's really just reinforcing information that we already knew. And it's unfortunate that that's the case. But going back to the issue with training, I mean, we saw the video that AJ Plus did, which was honestly one of the most enlightening videos I've ever seen. It shows you exactly how police officials are trained, and they're trained to be as paranoid as possible. And when you're living in that type of paranoid state, you react in terrible ways when something's happening and you don't truly really understand what's going on. You think that that's a threat. So I think that's what happened. I think the cops saw this girl having a seizure. They didn't understand what was taking place, and their first reaction was, okay, she's not responding to us the way we want her to. She's a threat. We're going to tase her. Yeah. Thank God they didn't shoot her, by the way.
Yeah, and on the issue of training, Wood said if he could change anything, the main thing he would change is empathy. Mm-hmm. For God's sake, teach them empathy. And he changed his mind when he was on a narcotics beat, and he was actually watching the community, and he's like, oh, they take their kids to school. They go to the grocery store. Oh, they're just like us. Like, that was a revelation for a Baltimore cop. Isn't that amazing?